look at you and it's easy to see you are that someone I've been trying.
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So today let's learn how to draw a pizza. I know we see all this realistic looking food paintings on social medias all the time, and it's really not that difficult actually. So here right now, I'm just drawing the basic sketch. I have a pizza like a pan. I do a big pizza at home, so I have like a big size pizza pan. So I have used that for a reference. So with the help of the pizza pan, I have done this big circle, and then one by one I'm adding all these other details like the toppings, there's mushrooms and basil leaves and sliced onions, olives and tomatoes and all that. So you have to just draw a basic a sketch of all these toppings. You don't have to add any kind of detail at this point right now.
I got your number, won't you pick up the phone? Don't leave me hanging on the dial tone. Think back to the night that we met.
So once my basic sketch was done, now let's start with the colors. So I'm just going to focus on one slice here right now. There are various ways you can complete finish this painting. You can either do all the toppings first, like you can do all the olives first and then the mushrooms first. That way you can spend more time detailing all their little all those depths and everything, or you can do one slice at a time. So for me, I thought doing one slice at a time was like a better option. So let's start with the basic color. So for the background, actually I've used yellow ochre plus white plus lemon yellow, and that is for all those that medium tone crust that you see on pizza. So I'm basically using this shade like yellow ochre plus white plus lemon yellow. And then for little bit of darker shade, I'm using just little bit of cadmium red in that yellow ochre, and little bit of brown. Actually the brown color, when you go and buy these acrylic color tubes, they have really like very fancy names. So for the brown color it says burnt sienna, but it is just good old brown color. So little bit of brown and cadmium red for that brownish that burnt out look, you have to use that shade. Okay, so one by one, one section at a time you can proceed. Start with the yellow ochre plus white plus cadmium yellow, and then slowly move on to the darker shades. You have to add little bit of red and little bit of brown, that is burnt sienna at this point. And wherever you think there are like white highlights, so don't try to put lot of darker shades over there, because then you want to show that part as a white highlight. So if it stays white, it will look more whiter, and then it will give you more realistic look here. So for the crust, you get that one like a simple like a line, like which is like which follows along the crust line, which has like this white highlight, but it is not like a exact circle. If you'll see, it is little bit, the line is little bit crooked here and there. So try to move your brush in that way when you're doing the crust. And I have used actually flat, very like small for 3 number flat brush here. Round brush was not able to give me the desired like whatever I wanted, the strokes. And I'm not using lot of water here in my colors. I'm just using very less water, so I can simply just spread the color evenly. I'm only using the water as required. Do not get put lot of water in your like this pizza, because you don't want those colors to actually spread out here and there. You want those in a very fixed location. I want the red sauce near the onion, or I want little bit white cheese near the tomatoes. So just try to use very less and less water. So right now, if you can see, I'm doing the crust here on the left side, and I'm keeping the whiter highlighted areas as it is, and I'm adding some more white there. And on the left and right side of the crust, I'm using this darker shade, as I said, like when you make your basic color like yellow ochre plus lemon yellow plus white, that is your base color for the pizza. And then when you move onto little bit darker shades, you have to just add little bit of red and brown at a time, and apply slowly at the areas where you want to show the cheese and the red sauce, and around the toppings where there are like darker shades.
Jumping in the pool, talk to you, dripping wet. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one.
All right, so my left side of the crust, like the outer crust, is like almost done here. Now I've started doing the toppings. So let's start with the tomatoes first. So tomatoes, all I done is just apply very like a wash type of like a cadmium red initially, and I also added a little bit of white in that. I wanted it to be very light, and then little bit of more red plus brown. I have made those those darker sections inside, and then afterwards I've just used a little bit of red again to show those lines and those small like seeds and all.
And we drive to the beach. The sun was setting, it was just you and me. Wind in my hair and the sand in my shoes. Could have chosen anyone, but I choose you. Hop back in your car, top down. There's no stopping us, cause we own this town. Never knew I could have such fun. Never thinking you would be my number one. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one.
So once my tomatoes are done, I have done other toppings on the same slice, like the olives and the onions and mushrooms and that chicken and all that other toppings. So for the onions, actually I've used this violet color. But I have not used the violet because I thought it was very dark. So add little bit of white, and then just leave some portion of the onion just completely white, and then where the place where you have to show some like shadows, you have to use this violet plus white. Okay. And for olives it is pretty simple. I've used the black color, and for the spotlight it is just gray and white. And for the basil leaves I've used two shades of green. One first is a light green, but I've used lot of white in the initial coloring, like light green plus white. And to give the shadows to the darker those shades, I've added little bit of olive green in that. And for the mushrooms, it was a bit tricky actually. For the mushrooms, the complete mushroom I did with this dark brown, that is actually burnt umber plus white. For the complete like the like a basic pre-wash, like lot of white and dark brown. And then for the outline I've done it with the this dark brown plus black, and then little bit of blending here and there.
Jump in your car and we drive to the beach. The sun was setting, it was just you and me. Wind in my hair and the sand in my shoes. Could have chosen anyone, but I choose you.
So at this point, my almost like half of my pizza was already done. It actually took me 3 sittings to complete the half of the pizza. I was not able to do it in like one stretch. So I did the first like first slice in the morning for like 2.5 hours. Then I did some in the afternoon, and there were a lot of small details that you need to add actually. So once your like all that shades and everything is done, you have to go on to the same place again and again and reapply some of the shades to make it little bit like darker or lighter. Like let's say, suppose if you say if you take into example a tomato, so you have to keep adding the darker areas, like keep adding darker shades more and more, and you have to keep adding the lighter shades more and more. So the rule that I follow usually when I'm trying to like do a painting which is like more detailed, so at any point of time I ask myself, can the darker areas be like more darker, and can the lighter areas be like more lighter. So in the same painting, when you see all the tonal gradations of like same shades, it will definitely look more realistic, because then you can create that depth, that that perception. So even when, for example, when I look at tomato, every time I was looking back at the tomato that I had done, I was thinking, no, I need to add some more darker areas in the middle, or through the like for the edges I need to more shadows. So I was making whatever darker areas that time was available in my palette, like red plus brown, or red plus this dark brown shade, or directly the dark brown shade also I was using here and there. And this way you can create that realistic look. If you follow this simple rule, whatever shades that you're doing, just try making darker shades, like try applying darker shades more and more, and just give some time for the colors to dry in between. It's like a big advantage of using acrylic colors, are they dry really super fast. So you can just reapply more and more shades as you progress in your painting. So this is how I completed like the rest of my these slices. By again and again I was adding more and more darker shades and lighter shades. Even when I was looking at the mushroom, I was thinking, oh, it's looking very bland, and I was using more darker shades, which was like I already used the dark brown. So which darker shade I can use right now? So I was adding just a very tiny amount of black in my dark brown to make it more darker than my dark brown shade, and I was using that for the you have that darker shades around the mushroom. It is not everywhere. It is when you see, look at the shape of the mushroom, it is like an umbrella. So at the bottom and towards the stem you see those darker, like a thick darker shades, so you can use that there. So that way, every time you think about onion or you think about basil, you just think, okay, what darker shade I can use here. If I'm using already olive green in my like basil leaf here, maybe the darker shade that I can go for to give darker effect here and there, wherever I prefer to give, I can use just little bit of brown or little bit of black in that. And if I want to make lighter shades for the same basil leaf, I can use like take a white and just add little bit of light green. And then even if that one I've already applied, then for it to make it more lighter, to show those lighter tones, I will directly use the white color, like my titanium white from my tube, and I will show those veins. And I will do the borders with the this very small round brush around the leaf. I will do that very small white colored border. And then I've used this white colored like very like a swirly pattern all around the toppings on the top of that cheese and that all that pizza. It was showing I wanted to show that what, like it's like shining, and that it is not like a static, that cheese is like like it's bubbling and it's very hot. So I'll show you, wait. So do you see all those white dots and those swirly patterns and those lines around the toppings and near the crust and all? So that I did completely with the pure like a white color. I used my very like a small round brush to do that, and I've used that to make like white really uneven shapes around onions, or some dots over the like mushrooms, and all that. So if you can see carefully, I'm going to zoom it a little bit. So if you can see those white patterns around the toppings and even on the toppings, so there is no it's very difficult to explain which shapes and what direction I followed. I was just going with the shape of that object, and just trying to create some like highlights near the crust, and just some dots and some shiny thing on that tomato sauce. So used white for that.
I look at you and it's easy to see. You are that someone I've been trying to meet. I got your number, won't you pick up the phone? Don't leave me hanging on the dial tone. Think back to the night that we met. Jumping in the pool, talk to you, dripping wet. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one. Jump in your car and we drive to the beach. The sun was setting, it was just you and me. Wind in my hair and the sand in my shoes. Could've chosen anyone, but I choose you. Hop back in your car, top down. There's no stopping us, 'cause we own this town. Never knew I could have such fun. Never thinking you would be my number one. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my tongue. Never thinking you would be my number one.
And here's my pizza all ready. I hope you learned something today. Until next time, stay creative, my friends.